Okay, well then that's perfect because I'm learning the technology. Robin's been there with me the whole time trying to get better with the technology. And I got a comment after the very first one of these. Hey, your face was covering up the slides. I couldn't see the important content. And they said they're always going to worry or wonder what was on that slide. So I think I sent them the slide just so they didn't wonder for the rest of time and space what was on that one slide. But welcome everybody. We are recording. Brian here. I don't see our other partner, but we will introduce on their behalf. So welcome to Marketing Driven Systems Change. I committed to do this for 12 sessions and I can't believe we're already on number 5. And it feels like it's getting a bit easier. Now we've got all of our sessions are booked. Happy to say that. So now it's getting much easier. So welcome. This is put on here. Grateful to be in the Center for Community Health Integration, where I'm a faculty member. We're part of Case Western Reserve University's School of Medicine. Okay. So if you've been here before, you've seen just these next couple slides, but this is also for those who haven't been here. Why the title Marketing Driven Systems Change? Drawing on this definition from a 1973, you can tell by the book, this isn't a new print, Laser and Kelly. So this is a book I bought used when I was doing my dissertation way back 13 years or so ago. And to me, this is what I think of when I think of what is social marketing or what I want to be doing with social marketing. I'll show in a second. You've seen before my diagram borrowed from a system dynamicist of what makes up a field. He was generalizing it. I've just glommed onto it and keep coming back to it over and over. So what makes up a field of social marketing? So to me, this encapsulates sort of how I think about what is or what should be social marketing academics. So that's just where I'm coming from, sort of my positionality. And here is Kim Warren's QR code. It'll take you to it. This is Kim Warren's representation of what makes up a field. If you haven't seen it, it's a lot to take in, but let me talk you through it because it is important, particularly for today. I'm connecting dots from each session one to the next. So this is really rewarding for me. So this is Kim Warren's representation of what makes up a field using the icons, the nomenclature of system dynamics modeling. So what we have today is really a nice representation of this. So we have in the middle here, what makes up a field. Let's talk about social marketing. You've got the users, the people that commission or want to use social marketing. So let's say Robin Brown and Seacole collect. They're here. They're interested in receiving consultation on social marketing. Practitioners down here. Let's say our guest Kristen. If I could put you in a stock or a bucket, please bear with me. For those who do and consult on social marketing. Together, they do social marketing work, and that work needs to get out, known, the cases, feedback to drive innovation. It brings in more users, more practitioners, that positive word of mouth, if we do a good job, which we will. But that work also drives a need for innovation or new methods. So that's a big part of why we're doing this as a consulting protocol today. There's a dilemma or a challenge, I should say, that we want your input on today, or I do, from a social marketing perspective. How do I best help serve Robin and her organization on this project sponsored by Thriving Earth Exchange? So Thriving Earth would also be part of the users bucket or stock here. So we've got the academics working to develop new methods. So seeking your advice today on how to address a particular challenge, but it's not insurmountable. So with your help today, we're going to get great input. So as always, this is just about wrapped up, the intro, setting the stage. So at the middle, you saw what makes up a field. We've got the academics. That's largely where I consider myself, make up part of the field of social marketing, the doers, the practitioners, the students, the clients. Outside of that, there are the broader change makers of which we are a part. And so welcome if you consider yourself a change maker, but maybe not necessarily a social marketer. Welcome. We want your input in consulting today, unpaid. We're not paying you for today, so thank you for being here. And then the global citizens, maybe you're not, consider yourself in one of these inner circles, but you're somebody who's a citizen of the world and you care and you want to try to help out and do better. All right. 10 minutes. This is the consulting protocol. We've got 10 minutes for the presenters to share. We're going to introduce ourselves to the presenters are me, Robin, and our fellow Cheryl. Group asks clarifying questions. So this is the protocol from Consultancy protocol. You can Google it. There are other ways of doing it. This is the way we're going to try. So this is new. If you're new today, this isn't how we do every week, but if you really like it, maybe season 2, we'll have more of these. So the presenters are going to share and talk about the project and then the dilemma or the challenge. So I'm going to present what I'm seeking your input on as the social marketing consultant, providing consultancy to Robin and Cheryl and others on our project. And so the group will get to ask 5 minutes of clarifying questions. So we'll go through all these when we get to them, probing questions. Then the group will discuss, and we, Robin, Cheryl, and I, we will listen, almost like we're not even there, so you can talk about us in third person. That's part of the protocol. It seems to work. I don't know what the secret sauce is. Then the presenters will reflect back. Me, Robin, Cheryl will reflect back what we heard, and then wrap up and talk about next week's guests. So this is the first time trying this. I've done them before. You may have as well. So thank you for being here. All right. Robin, invite you to please come off mute, take a minute to please introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Robin Brown. I am a parent first, but I am also the founder and executive director of Collective Citizens Organized Against Lead. I got in this field from personal experience of my daughter being severely poisoned by lead at a death seizure coma level, and we were left alone. It was the initial issue of our Cleveland lead problem. I've been doing this work for 25 years consistently, working with community members who are impacted by the problem, where our niche is impacted people bringing the solutions to our impacted problems, coming directly from the source of individuals that have been sitting around thinking about solutions or wishing they had opportunity to bring solutions. And we collectively work together, partnering with organizations like CASE Western Reserve. We have Black environmental leaders. We are actually, I can't even name them all. We're actually super partnered with over 60 entities that support our work. And building relationships is very important. We know it doesn't come overnight, but it happens. And so getting into this project came from our partnership, realizing that once we got into the academic level, that a lot of our work we recognize as being in positions such as system dynamics. We have kind of been doing that without knowing what we were doing. Translational science is another. And now we're here with Thriving Earth is Change with this opportunity we are presenting to you today in hopes that you could help us in our social marketing aspect.
Absolutely. So I'll give you back the mic in a moment, Robin, to talk about briefly how you got the project going with Thriving Earth. But upper right there, I don't see their video. So Cheryl is our community science fellow from Thriving Earth Exchange. And I'm not even going to try to do justice to say more beyond that she's the one, she's the glue, the stir strong the drink that brings Robin and I. And so this is Seacole's project, Robin's group, their project with Thriving Earth as a sponsor. And I was invited, thankfully, to join as community scientist consultant. So you know me, the mug in the lower left. And let me ask Kristen, would you please unmute? And how did I ring you in to come in here today, Kristen?
Thanks, Brian. My name's Kristen DeVideo, and I am a social marketer and consultant by practice. I have been working in the field for about 22 years, and that has always been a journey because once you start understanding what goes into making our communities and world a better place, you see the path that so many different people have come through. So mine came through marketing, and then I started to understand public health, and then I became a learner and then a practitioner of social marketing for behavior change, and understood the behavioral sciences. And so I'm so happy to be here and look forward to learning about this project. Thank you, Brian and Robin.
Thank you for being here and letting us benefit from your consulting today. So presenters share. So here we are at this part of our agenda, and there's a plug for Robin and Seacole. So Robin, I'm going to ask, if I could ask you 2 minutes, how did Seacole get this project going with Thriving Earth?
We were introduced to AGU as a potential hub candidate. And it is an interview process where you are interviewed by 7 different organizations to see if you're a fit for this. We passed the interview, and in this project, they select a co-scientist to work with you to formulate your thoughts, your plans. Started off with a thought and an idea, and we were able to formulate it to the proposal that we submitted. Um, I thought it was a great idea because it was opportunity to work with more scientists, and to get into the science field and support with the work that we do. So it worked out really great, through the partnership that we previously had with Bryant. I thought it was super to be able to bring him into the fold as we're continuously building projects together in partnership.
And the role of, so you're the lead, and then what's your relationship with our community science fellow Cheryl and how you're working together on this?
We are the lead in the prospect. Everything sort of is coming from our organizational thought space project, and using the expertise of Cheryl was able to brainstorm what that content would be. And so what we're looking to do in this is to achieve objectives set in our goals and milestones, which I'm sure we probably will talk a little bit more in detail.
And so just looking at our goals and milestones, so very high level overview before I talk about sort of now my role and why am I coming for consulting, what's the challenge that I'm asking for input on. So one is to co-discover through the integration of social marketing and system science, what are the different sort of markets and market segments for this innovation that Robin and their group are developing. And the innovation, which we're going to talk about, involves something called biochar, and it is intended to help. So marketing, P, talk about early in the seminar series, have a product. So this product is intended to help address, improve the situation of lead contained in soil around residential household. So I've done my best to help generate a little figure here of, this is for me largely, but hopefully it helps others understand, okay, what is biochar? What is this remediation process? So there's many reasons to be excited about this. It's partnering, and it's got an actual product, an innovation, which is often lacking a lot of times in social marketing. So I learned almost all the stuff I know about lead and sort of how to address it from Robin. So Robin, I've got this image up here, and we're doing great on time. So is there anything you want to talk about, any partner locally who's involved with this, the biochar, and how it plays into this project for Sequel and Thriving Earth?
Yes, our partnership is with Red House Studio architect. Strange, but it's true. We have an architect that has a humanity-driven purpose within their work. And the biocycler from Red House Studio is a opportunity to use fungi to be the main source of a remediation for us with lead. They started it to bring build green, sustainable building material.
Mm-hmm.
And is unique because it's coming from the fungi. And this partnership, as they're using picture of room and the substrate on the walls, which is your painted areas and your framing of a house, when it's demolished, all of that goes to the landfill. Curiosity for lead poisoning, if all of this is going to the landfill, how much is getting in the environment? So through that conversation, myself and the architect did more diving into their process. And as they were informed about chelation, chelation is a process where lead is pulled out of the body, but not just lead. All heavy metals would be pulled out of a person's body, but has to be replenished through an IV. So the fungi actually does a chelation process. And so with this fungi along with biochar. It's a way that we were able to remediate this lead from going to the environment and building it within this green sustainable material that will now encapsulate it and not allow it to be exposed anymore. So that's like the cool part, superficial explanation. If you go to Red House Studio, you will see the abundance work that's being done utilizing built material from the environment. And that's what's really cool. Um, we look at it as decontaminating bad environment with sustainable green built environment as far as remediation. So we're looking out of this process of the bio cycler to
Yep.
help use green building material. I challenged Chris about soil. One of the things that has not been looked at or really mediated was the soil, the contaminated soil, due to
Yes.
lead gas, other entities as airplanes and diesel tractors and things of that putting lead into our environment is exposing our soil to become contaminated. And partnering with farmers and Chris, we're finding our soil in Cleveland is extremely contaminated. And
Yes.
we recommend raised beds to be used for all planting vegetation and things of that nature. So with that being said, right now, currently, what is being done in the lead field is grass is being planted on top of the contaminated soil, or mulch is put there, but it's not remediating the problem.
That's way better than I could have explained. So now we're going to get into clarifying questions. So Kristen, you'll get the first shot at it, but I need to first say, okay, what is the challenge that Brian, as the social marketing consultant locally, is facing? Why am I asking for your help? So in my mind, I mean, there are multiple sort of issues with a great project opportunity like this. So for me, the one I want to bring forth today is, all right, two-part challenge, Kristen. No challenge, no sweat. But everybody else is here to help for clarifying questions. So we'll do 5 minutes of clarifying. These are yes, no types of questions. Challenge one, this project involves a product, but unlike in my experience, a lot of social marketing projects, there's a product that maybe come up with, it's for the life of that project, and then it's gone. Whereas Robin, I believe this is an innovation that has legs. It could go to market and have some sustainability between you and Red House Studio. So that's
Yes.
a unique twist to this. And social marketing textbooks. So you might go to your favorite social marketing textbook, get your 10-step cheat code, and look at it and say, okay, I begin with sort of a background, a situation analysis, SWOT analysis, and traditional segmentation. But to me, that doesn't sort of really fit what we're talking about here, where we actually have markets that have to be analyzed. So what's the market? What's the demand for this biochar type of product, right? Because there are other biochar products that people can purchase. So what is it? What's the market for Robin and their partners? So that's my challenge. So what's the best way to help them analyze the market, the competition, and do so with integrating system dynamics modeling? So there's no blueprint that I can find that exists for helping the early social marketing planning phases for Robin, SQL, and their partner, where it's not just we need a SWOT analysis or situation analysis. This is actual product that they may take to market. And we want to help them do so through the lens of system dynamics and feedback loops. So, piece of cake. Clarifying questions, Kristen, feel free to unmute. We'll give you sort of first. So anything that we can answer with a largely yes, no to clarify to make sure we're all on the same page before we go forward with the probing questions.
Well, my first question is about data collection, because I know you're going to have to go back to showing proof of concept, but also cost of implementing. And so I'm wondering where on those those are like two ends of what we would care about, right? So what kind of data is being collected? That's not a yes, no question. I think I just was wrong in how I asked that, but that's my question.
We are
Right, Rob.
we're looking to use constituents in the community yards to get the testing levels of the soil, to test the soil before remediation, to know what we have, know what we work with, to be able to bring the product that should work for those particular yards. So we will be collecting data at every resident before we start the remediation. I hope that helped in answering your question.
Go ahead, Kristen.
It does. It does. And when I'm, going back to what you're saying, Brian, about market segmentation, you're looking at kind of one audience right now. Well, actually two. So you have that first person user, the behavior change at the personal level. And then you have kind of citizen scientists, volunteers out there that are collecting data. So you have two parties that care and are collecting data about this experience, definitely. And so I'm wondering too about kind of, looking out broader, are there other data sets that you're actually collecting? You might not be thinking about them right now, that you're going to be able to make an argument towards another part of another segment of your market that you might bring into this that might be interested in your product.
Thank you, Kristen. I'm just taking a look here at the chat. So a couple of you have Red House, I think, resources for Lucia. Thank you. So I don't see any other clarifying questions right now. We're doing well on time. So let me check chat here. Okay, Karen, who is the decision maker to purchase the product for use? Good clarifying question. Is the decision maker? Oh, wow, this is a good question. The homeowner, a multifamily homeowner, a nonprofit, a government? Robin, who's the decision maker to purchase this product in development?
Right now, it would be us as the team and research, but overall, it would be the homeowner
Okay.
who would use the end product, and our focus would be for the homeowners, the investor, realtor investors.
All right. Kristen, did you want to ask a clarifying question or?
I do. This is exactly what I was talking about. I think you're looking there, Robin, and I'm wondering well, to that Karen's question, there are going to be property owners that will need for rentals, certainly, right? Those are families that are at risk because they can't even get testing done when they go to purchase a property, right? Because they're going into rent. And so where are we looking at with policy or the public health department, and how are they maybe playing into needing to use this product as well?
And I'm glad you did ask because, yes, the public health entity, we actually sidelined that they would have to be one that we would have to approach just to get it done within the city to bring it about. And hopefully, with us advocating as a city for lead poisoning remediation, real strong as we are, this will become part of the remediation governmentally around nationally as they remediate the homes. The home is a full house. It includes the outside environment too. So that would be a policy push definitely to get this within the remediation. So that actually links out to government entities such as HUD. HUD and EPA, as well as legislative policies. Thank you.
So thank you. Let me this is probably the last clarifying question because I don't know, Rob, I can't even pronounce it. Mycorrhizae, Mycorrhizae. Is that a remediative fungi? If that's one we have to look up, we can get back to you, Lucia. I don't know if you can see that question in the chat, Robin.
It would have to be one that we get back with because I haven't seen that term. I've seen microculture and micro bioremediation being said, but I haven't seen that particular word. And so we will get back with you and ask Chris, our expert.
So I'm going to throw in my idea before we go to we're already doing the probing questions, and that's perfect. So let me get my idea off of my chest to see if people want to ask clarifying or probing questions about that. We don't have to be ogres about the protocol. So Robin and our groups, our center and Robin's group, this is all working out beautifully. We have a meeting later today, our biweekly partnership meeting. So we'll get to take your input and have a meeting later today. So the idea that I have, the dilemma of, okay, there's no real blueprint that I can find of helping a project like this. How do I give the best advice and process for analyzing the market for this innovation and using our systems thinking tools? So the idea I'm designing, prototyping to bring to Robin and their group today is to do called spatial group model building. So we do a lot of group model building, participatory ways of working with partners of all types to help understand what makes up a system that's driving a problem or an opportunity. So the idea that I'm going to bring to, and feel free to ask questions if this requires or deserves a question, the idea would be to bring together Robin and the stakeholders that they choose, the participants, perhaps homeowners, and take them through a structured process with paper maps, have them say, okay, here's the neighborhoods we're most interested in. Here's where we think we should focus because XYZ. They'll determine the criterion for why this is the market we should be going after. Then we would take that information and use our system dynamics tools to sort of test that idea and computerize it and show them back, say, these were the insights you brought. This is what the model is showing. Are we learning together to help Robin give them the best advice possible? So that's the idea that I am bringing to you today. Kristen, you get first crack at that, but otherwise, let me take a look at the chat. Gardeners are really interested. Thank you, Chia. Christine, I'd like to recommend a relevant stakeholder group. Should I post a comment? No, go for it. Go for it, Christine. We don't need to stick to the protocol like a bunch of ogres. So Christine, post a comment now if you'd like, Christine. Kristen, is anything coming to mind question-wise, clarifying or probing before we get to the we be quiet and you guys reflect part of the protocol?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is a great idea, Brian. You want to bring everyone to the table, certainly. And I think mapping is important for different reasons too, because you're going to be potentially looking at existing land and home. You're going to be looking at areas that have undergone demolition. You then are going to be looking also at this new areas that are going to be new building. And what is the responsibility of any new building owner or property development management group going up, and how can we bring them to the table too, because at some point everyone is responsible for this environment, right? And so if you're making money off of it, then you ought to be building responsibly as well. And so when you think about who you're bringing to the table, who's not at the table?
Thank you. And Robin, I think you were reading, is that comment from Christine something you want to take now or offline?
Pardon?
So I'll read from Christine. If you're not already connected with Clash, you may find them a helpful group. I believe you know them, Robin.
Yes.
So they may be helpful. Thank you for the link, Christine. If there's anything else you want to say about Clash, otherwise we'll go to the next part, Robin.
No, we are connected, and yes, their clients and volunteers would be a good group to kind of get some insight from, or inviting a couple, to be part of. That would be good. Thank you.
So we are doing beautifully, and I'm going to put into the chat the questions to get you started. I'm going to stop screen sharing. For the part where me, Robin, get to give our voices a rest, and I will look at the chat Q&A to see if there's muting or unmuting. So maybe Kristen, we can sort of ask your help. So the group is going to talk with Kristen, almost like Robin and I aren't here, and so that's part of the secret sauce of this protocol. Kristen and the group talk about the dilemmas, the opportunities that you've heard us talk about, and then the protocol invites the group to just talk about us almost in the third person as if we were not there. And so there's some questions to get you going. So Kristen, you can have a conversation with the attendees, and I'll be trying to look here to unmute. if anybody wants to unmute for the conversation with Kristen, Robin and I aren't even here. And let me.
We can start with that first question. What did we hear about this project? And then what are some assumptions about what, like in what we heard, what are some things that are assumed that might become a problem or feed into the dilemma, or might be part of a solution too? Some assumptions that we have. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts about that from our attendees. Some things to think about are, you know, the people at the table. Okay, so Lucia said, I heard that community is important, and I'm wondering if presenting to real estate agents and home inspectors might be helpful. I think that's great. What are some other things? And anyone can come off mute too to speak if you want to speak. I know as an attendee, that's a little intimidating sometimes, but we're all friends here.
I think if you hand
There's
raise
a
or
question.
just, I'll unmute. Karen, I think you should be able to who?
Thank you. Yeah, it was quite a way I put it up there. Yes. My question, Brian, is I hear you talking about that this being fundamentally different because there's a product involved, and I don't understand that. I mean, to me, the issue is whether we're marketing the product or the behavior change. It's who's the audience, what do we compete with, and what are the pros and cons of them for engaging this. And then again, kind of looking at the map of what that looks like and who are the potential partners and priority segments. I'm picking up, you're sensing a difference and I'm not understanding it.
So I will reflect when it's time to reflect, but pretend I'm not here.
Oh, sorry.
But it's being captured and processed by Kristen and the group.
That's a great question, Karen. Thank you. So Karen, you just brought up an assumption, right? So that's an assumption. So that is that it's different than other social marketing or behavior change pieces because of the product. So I guess I would bring in a question relative to that, Karen, about is this product something that can go beyond purpose of what we're talking about right now? And does then it become that, which Brian's talking about? Like, does this product have a purpose further than remediating lead and saving people's health? And so can it be dual purpose, marketed more broadly, but then have that underlying hidden health benefit? And does that help it? Is that something to consider? I think the dilemma that you brought up, Brian, was around demands too. So I think this talks to that as well. Like, is there a demand for this? Who else? Who are we missing when we're thinking about this? And Karen, you're raising a good question about that. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Like, who else are we missing when we think about demand for the product? And Karen, you're bringing up a good piece too, like policy support. So exactly. So they're talking about something that's one homeowner at a time, but then, what are the other audiences and markets that are going to be interested in this product? And who comes to the table for that conversation? And to what Robin was saying about HUD, EPA, the Department of Health, the vested interest of entities, city planning committees. Someone brought up gardeners too. Yeah, and Lucia's talking about similar dilemma. She might experiment with the neighborhood watch group model. Reach out to gardening groups. Yeah, that's a great idea. Lucia, you want to talk about that?
Sorry, I'm not sure I have much more to say. Just, I'm a gardener myself, and we all love to geek out about what improves the soil because that improves the food we grow. And so I think you might have an opportunity to package a product if that's what you're shooting for, and make biochar more easily available, maybe even through community mulching providers or something like that.
That's
Is that
great.
helpful?
I think that's great, Lucia. You just gave me another idea too, which is like, because you're still focusing on kind of that person user, the one person user and the personal behavior change. And thinking about other places where we grow food in mass production of food, you know, soil testing, we're learning hasn't necessarily always been happening because we're learning about what was the arsenic in applesauce, right? And things that just what we don't know about what's in the ground that we're growing food on all the time. It's not necessarily always being tested, especially if a place has been there for a long time. And so I think that broadens that market reach to another segment. Some other questions were, well, again, what might we try if faced with a similar dilemma? Or what have we done in similar situations? Does anyone see, like I just brought up something that it reminded me of. Another kind of example where we might see how this rolled out similarly, but with a different product or a different audience and a different problem. I haven't seen any new chats, Brian. I love the policy. I mean, I think the policy piece is strong. I think thinking about some unconventional partners possibly that would want to be at the table might be the healthcare sector. You know, they have in effect, they have nothing to do with what we're talking about exactly, but they are the ones that see the results and that are screening, you know, especially children, but individuals for exposure to lead.
I think this is maybe the best session we've done. No offense to any prior guests, but this is great. So we're doing well on time. Unless I missed something, we can use the other time for the presenters to reflect back. Yeah, we'll take the extra 2 or 3 minutes for this part where the presenters, in this case, Robin and I and Cheryl, we hope you feel better soon. We'll get you this recording. We'll reflect back to the group. So of course, I'm going to defer to Robin if you want to. So here's the prompts if it helps you, Robin. But this is us reflecting back to the group. So we've got a good 5 minutes to do this, Robin and I, if you want to take turns, or I can reflect back, however you want to do this, Robin.
Initially, I could start, and then based off of your thoughts coming in, you can reflect back from what you heard. But I do want to thank each and every single one of you all for the input, because it was very much meaningful, the good, bad, and ugly, but also brought in my thinking a little bit. So thank you. I just wanted to share that part of what everything was shared with us, for sure.
Thank you, Robin. I agree with that. I'll start with, and then I'll pause and see if you want to reflect something back. The thing I'll reflect back is Brian in his own world thinking this is some unique challenge or dilemma that it's just a product like any other product. To me, maybe it's because I've mentioned other seminars sort of being here at Case Western, heavy in engineering and innovation, which is different than other places I've been. It's making me more aware of social innovation, social entrepreneurship. And so that's not an area that I have a whole lot of experience in. And this seems like one of those products that is not meant to just be invented, facilitate behavior change. Project is done, campaign's done, and we all go on with our lives. I know a lot about Robin and Seacole, and I believe they have interests in working with economy, figure out how to make things sustainable. Business mindsets, business can be a force for good. And so they're already partnering with Red House Studios, who are innovators themselves. So it was a challenge for me because I'm not used to doing an initial market analysis where you actually need to understand the market. Is this an area for growth, a declining area? What are the market money opportunities? So this is new for me from a social marketing perspective. So that's my main reflection, and I'll be quiet for Robin.
Reflecting and taking on the suggestions. I'm really grateful for the opportunity again to make me think beyond of where we were just in a project. As we were formulating a project, we had one target in mind. And I am very appreciative of the suggestions of other places. And again, prompting my mind to think beyond where we were looking at, but really the broad picture of this product. So you guys got me stirring a lot. Thank you.
We're breaking protocol. So I mean, Kristen, I consider you part of the team rather than just the group. So since we've got time, it's just free for all. Kristen, do you want to unmute and sort of share any reflections about our project or the process? That it could be as well. And I'll see if anybody else wants to come on and unmute.
I love hearing about something that is intended to be small and local and at that person level, but see that even when Robin was speaking about some of the partners at the table, how it's really, it certainly can be applied at such a broader audience level. I mean, I think you talked about NASA being a partner, Robin, and Department of Defense.
Yes.
And I think, hands down, like, we're in our heads, sometimes we're thinking about our community here in the United States, and certainly, other countries, or anywhere there's mining going on, or, like toxic dumping, like there's just so much contamination that needs to be remediated. And that's just on our planet. I mean, some of the problems on other planets possibly, right? Like this possibly could be used to remove contaminants from soil on the moon. I mean, I don't know. I just think that there's so much to do with this. It's really
Robin's
amazing.
got an idea, and Robin's doing something already, it sounds like.
It is funny because we are partnering with NASA for habitat for the astronauts. What would be safe for them? So when you said the soil and all of that, it's sort of where we are working with NASA for that point. And again, from our soil, and I didn't reveal this, we have a partnership with Laurel School. They have an EJ semester. In that semester is where I got Chris to test the soil and do a remediation. And the result from that superficial, and I mean super superficial testing, we were able to reduce the lead in the soil by 90.3% in 5 days. And so this is what's prompting us to kind of focus on this. So we do have a practical space. We tried the remediation in. Now we want to see what it could do. But even just playing with this hypothetical, does it work? We are finding interest from a broader field, from brownfields, because we know this can, and this process can work with brownfield remediation, as well as Superfund sites. And we do have samples from the California fires that we're actually working to see what we could do with.
Wow.
So it is leaning to a bigger, broader space that we were not playing.
Amazing.
Kristen, thank you, Robin. There's Karen had a question. I suggested tools of change as one social marketing website repository. Kristen, you've seen a lot. Is there a place that has case studies? I love case studies, not just our randomized controlled trials, but deep case studies on creating community-wide change, combining not just individual outreach, but also community partnerships. So maybe Kristen first, and then Robin, if you have advice or recommendations for Karen.
Yeah, I was going to recommend, and I can put it in the chat, Doug McKenzie Moore's Community-Based Social Marketing, Fostering Sustainable, Healthy, and Safe Behaviors. Doug really looks a lot at the environment and economic modeling. I'll put that in the chat as well.
Oh boy, I forgot about Doug. Thank you. Robin, did you have any things that you've seen, case study repositories?
The ones that you kind of said, put me in a reminding of we're creating a circular economy through our partnerships and our multidisciplinary work to bring solutions to issues in the injustice space. So we don't and have not found a lot of support from our end, but I'm sure there probably is. That's the problem. We didn't have anything to follow, like a platform for communities to go with to lead to these candidates. So we're grateful for the partnership to help us get.
You just teed it up perfectly for me. So I'm grateful that, I mean, even though there's no blueprint for doing the type of initial market analysis modeling, that I'm grateful that you're partnering with us. And so we get to meet later today and talk more about the idea that I shared about how to get that going. And while we have next week's speaker up here, Julia, she probably is gonna want to smack me for picking a low res image. That's a bad picture. I copied and put in there. Sorry, Julia. But we grateful, and an insight to reflect in the last couple of minutes or 30 seconds is, yes, we're my map of the field, we're the academics, and we're supposed to try to come up with methods that can then get used and help the practitioners and the clients. So that's what we're trying to do. And just an insight, or a reminder, I should say, that we often don't feel the same sense of urgency working on these grants and projects. Like this isn't just theoretical. There's lead in the soil around people's homes getting tracked in, exposed, and children and people are absorbing that. So just a reminder that we don't have all the time in the world to just hypothesize and try these new mapping or modeling tools. We got to act with a sense of urgency as well. So that was just something that I wanted to reflect back. And so next week, Julia, who I was just listening to on a podcast from Australia, and she and I have talked, and we've got our prep sheet going back and forth. So please note the different start time because they're in Australia. So it's going to be 5 p.m. for us, which is going to be 8 a.m. the next day for Julia. So that's going to be a great episode. So Julia's podcast appearance, I was listening to, she was talking and she was interviewed about social impact. And she's got a lot of experience in what's called a whole systems approach. And if you are here or know of people who might be interested in doing work with military populations and applying social marketing for military populations, Julia is who you want to be showing up for. So it's 10:27. I want to thank Kristen, and thanks for these slides. You can tell which ones I created and which ones Kristen created. So this is Kristen. Kristen, please unmute if you want to sort of say anything or reflect before I get to the final slide. But it wouldn't have not been the same quality of session today without you.
Oh, thank you. It's been such a pleasure to be a part of this conversation. There's so many other areas I want to talk about where the overlap is, and that's that strength in overlap is where you can get people on board in your different market segments. And it's just such a wonderful project. It means a lot to be able to be here to talk about it.
Oh, sorry. I will. By the way, for those of you who have hung in there, I'm just met yesterday with our media vision folks to strategize getting a little bit of money for season 2 to professionalize, get me in the studio, let the professionals take care of the recording, editing, and putting it out on podcasts. So hang in there for the second half of season 1, and I'm trying to get money to professionalize this. So thank you everybody for being here. We're going to end on time, which I always try to do. Robin, I'm going to give you the final word if there's something you want to say, but there's our QR code for our LinkedIn group. I've been so busy trying to get guests lined up. I haven't done a good job of facilitating the group getting chatting with each other, but I think I'm finding a rhythm. The guests are all booked, so I'm going to try to do more with the group. But Robin, please take the last minute or two, and thank you, everybody.
Again, just thanking everyone for a robust session. This has been really, really great. The feedback is going to be utilized. It wasn't in vain. You guys have really gave us some steps up to take forward to our group tonight. And I would love to follow up with you guys. The program is 18 months away in finishing, but keeping up with you all and letting you know the progress. And along the way, please share back as we're letting you know what's going on.